What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about if I think you should get your MT-09 tuned and if it's worth it. Like I said in my last video, I got it tuned recently in February, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about if I think it's worth the money, because I paid 475 euros for the tune, and then I got the additional launch control for 250 euros. So I wanted to make a video about if it's worth it in my opinion or not. I'm not riding alone today. I'm joined by my brother on the ZX6 behind me, but he won't be in the video. He won't be in front of me much. He's just gonna ride behind me because he doesn't want his license plate in the video, and I don't want to blur that shit for an entire video. So I got my bike tuned in February. It got tuned by Druif Racing in the Netherlands, Lunteren, for anyone who's interested. First of all, they did a really good job. They were very friendly and helpful. I got it dyno tuned. So it was put on the dyno before the tune to see what power figures I was running before the tune, and then they customized the mapping and they retuned it for me. It took about 2 hours, I think, including the launch control. It was pretty cool. You were sitting like on a table next to the tuning station. You could watch it through a glass wall. So they did the tune, and the first thing I noticed after getting the tune was just how much more smooth the bike got, because at the time I was riding with my girlfriend on the back, so I couldn't really, rip it open, because I prefer to do that when I'm alone. So I took it easy, and the bike was a lot more smooth, especially in first and second gear. First gear used to be real snappy, like on and off throttle, but now it was a lot smoother. And the engine braking gets reduced a whole lot too. Like before, I would get lunged forward every time I released off of my my throttle. Not as bad as on my MT-07, but it was still definitely very noticeable. And that has gone a lot smoother, which I actually prefer. Also, fifth and sixth gear have gone unrestricted, because if you didn't know, the MT-09 from the factory has a restriction on fifth and sixth gear. It is mostly for emissions, as well as this bike runs very lean on its own, also for emissions. Which doesn't give it the power that it can or should have. Before the tune, my bike was pushing about 113 horsepower. The stock horsepower should be around 115, so a little lower because, it's been a few years since this bike was made. And now it is pushing upwards to 125 on the wheel, which is pretty nice. The torque also went up from 87 Newton meters to 95, I believe. I'd have to check it on the PDF they send me, but somewhere around there. And you can definitely notice it when you rip open the throttle. Like, it is a lot faster, especially in the fifth and the sixth gear, because before nothing would really happen. Especially if you rip open the throttle, which I can't do right now because, I'm on a roundabout and there's a car in front of me. But when you do rip open the throttle, like, it goes, especially in first and second gear. Like, first gear has gotten even more scary than it was before. I don't know how they managed to do that. It just has so much power. So I'm definitely getting used to the bike again, but it does feel a lot more smooth. There's no more dips in the power, which before there were a little bit. Like the mid-range, like it took off in the lower rev range, and then the mid-range it was kind of calm, and then the upper it got a little boost again, and now it's pretty smooth all the way up to 12,000 RPM. So that's very nice. But I do think that your average Joe rider doesn't need the extra power. I don't need the extra power. but I do like the fact that it's a lot more smooth. The bike has a restriction on top speed from the factory as well, because the 5th and the 6th gear are restricted. So before, you could go about 220 kilometers an hour depending on conditions and rider weight and stuff, and right now it'll go about 256 kilometers an hour, which is, you know, a bit faster, but honestly you won't be hitting that top speed a lot during normal riding anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Like, it's fun on the highway, and you know, when you get the chance to, and on the track I'm sure it'll be fun too, but most of the time you won't be hitting that top speed anyway. So do I think it's worth the money? Honestly, if you have an extra couple $100 laying around, then yes, I don't regret tuning my bike, and I would do it again if I could go back to the past. So I don't regret it at all. Do you need to? Not really. If you really want to be able to, you know, unleash all the power this bike has, then yes, you should, but I really don't think you have to. Like I mentioned earlier, I have launch control, and like I mentioned earlier, I had launch control installed as well. It's a lot of fun. You don't get to use it a whole lot in normal riding, but hey, you know, why not? Fuck it, it's fun. And honestly, it's kind of scary, because this bike wants to fucking launch you off as soon as you get high in the rev range and you open up the throttle. So I've been kind of, you know, taking it easy on the launch control, taking my time to really learn how it works, because I don't want to launch myself off of the bike. So I will show you the launch control real quick, and then that will be the end of the video. So before the launch control, summary, yes, I think it's worth the money if you have the extra money laying around. However, it is definitely not necessary. So for the launch control, it is Woolwich Race Tools launch control. It will lock the RPM to 7,000 RPM as soon as you're stationary after a second. They told me it's only in first gear, but it does it in neutral and all other gears as well. So I will show it off carefully though. Okay, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.